The continent of Europe, the old world of culture, beauty, and charm, of jewel-like resorts in nature's rarest settings, towering storybook chateaus, art-filled cathedrals centuries old, sparkling lakes in alpine valleys, palaces of kings and emperors, the color and fragrance of famous gardens, quaint harbor villages, world-famed seaside resorts. There's shopping, from antiques to Paris fashions, traditional color and pageantry, great cities of the world, London, eternal Rome, beautiful Brussels, the one and only Venice, Paris, and the gay nightlife of a whole continent. No wonder that Europe is luring more and more holiday travelers across the sea from the United States and Canada, especially since a modern transatlantic crossing is so easy to make. Every week, Cunard transatlantic liners sail from New York, Montreal, Quebec, or Halifax. It was more than 120 years ago that Samuel Cunard founded the famous line which has grown to be the largest on the Atlantic. Today, the Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mary each exceed 80,000 tons, by far the largest superliners afloat. The liner's 2,000 passengers have come from everywhere. A traveling community of businessmen, diplomats, artists, students, teachers, and vacationing families from every walk of life. For first-time ocean voyagers who have never before traveled on anything bigger than a train or a plane, a superliner opens up a new dimension in travel. The Queen Elizabeth is longer than 3 football fields. She has 14 decks, served by 35 elevators. This is like a city afloat, with more than a score of air-conditioned public rooms, lounges, deck squares, and shopping areas. Libraries and writing rooms provide quiet and comfort for reading, study, or writing. A choice of luxurious first-class staterooms and suites, or economical cabin or tourist class accommodations provides for every taste and budget. Personal services include modern hairdressing salons, barber shops, steam rooms, Turkish baths, and massage. There's complete valet service. In cabin and tourist class, dress is always informal. In first class, it's optional. In the evening of our first full day at sea, there's a gala get-together dance. The Queen Elizabeth has 2 fine orchestras and headline entertainers. The climax of the evening is the balloon dance. In this dance, prizes are won by the couples who hold the balloons the longest without using their hands. After a night of refreshing sleep, you can start the day with breakfast in your stateroom. Where else but on a Queen can one enjoy acres of playground while speeding from continent to continent? The giant ship is naturally so smooth sailing that her 2 sets of gyroscopically controlled stabilizers are rarely used. There's enclosed deck space for paradise tennis and ping pong. For those of us who are less athletic, here's another exciting game, the daily tote. short for totalizator. You place a bet on the number of miles you think the ship will travel in 24 hours from noon to noon. As the noon whistle blows, officers on the bridge check the ship's position. Today, 730 wins the money. That's a lot of miles when you realize the Queen's 158,000 horsepower engines propel an entire floating vacation resort. A resort that can entertain more guests than most of the biggest hotels on land. And what's going on here? Looks like good old-fashioned musical chairs. Break the balloon. They call this gymkhana, meaning many games, and many there are, combining exercise with fun for both players and spectators. Every game's a contest, and the winners get handsome souvenir prizes. If you've always wanted to play in a band, the skiffle band is the one for you. All you need is rhythm.
Up, down, up, down, up, down, up.
Among the ship's many facilities are 2 saltwater swimming pools. The widescreen theater shows first-run movies. There are many places in the ship to play chess, cards, or other games. For example, players find the club-like comfort and service of lounges and smoking rooms ideal for a quiet afternoon of bridge. Shopping is another rewarding pastime. Every Cunarder has a variety of shops full of tax-free merchandise from Britain and the continent, including handbags, perfumes, chinaware, English and Scottish woolens, sweaters, scarves, and accessories. Time out for afternoon tea. You know, one of the real delights of traveling like this is that with all the things there are to do, you don't have to do anything at all. One of the many popular spots for just taking it easy is the Observation Bar and Lounge. Here, any time of day, you can meet your friends and enjoy your favorite beverages. By the way, this exciting means of traveling by sea isn't just for grown-ups. It's for the whole family, and it's ideal for children. Trained nurses are in charge of playrooms, a wonderful convenience for parents on vacation. And youngsters love the idea of being able to play while traveling. When friends came aboard in New York to wish us bon voyage, they may have wondered whether all the Epicurean delights they saw on the buffet were to be eaten or were merely for display. You may have wondered yourself. If you did have any doubts, the first dinner at sea surely dispelled them forever. Cunard's Queens are the only superliners whose first-class restaurants can accommodate all passengers at a single sitting. This is a small corner of the Queen Elizabeth's main restaurant, which seats 780 people in luxurious space and comfort. The variety on every menu is bewildering. Your choice of fish, game birds, or the finest cuts of seasoned prime meats from both sides of the Atlantic. Where else but on a superliner can you dine in such leisure and luxury? Many first-class passengers consider dinner at sea the perfect occasion for evening dresses and dinner jackets, though less formal wear is not out of place. Regular after-dinner activities are too many to illustrate. movies, bingo, dancing, to mention a few. A special event tonight is a headdress parade with prizes for the most original design. For night owls who like a nightclub atmosphere, there's late music, entertainment, and dancing. With all there is to do in a Cunarder, it's no wonder travelers agree that getting there is half the fun. It seems like no time at all until sturdy French tugs are helping our big ship into the modern terminal at Cherbourg. Many passengers will go on to Southampton to start their European holiday in England. Those who disembark in Cherbourg will soon be aboard Cunard's special express train from Shipside to Paris. Many visitors to Europe bring their own cars, a wonderful way to see any country. You can roam as you please and stop wherever you like. By the time we ourselves have disembarked, checked our passports, and cleared our baggage, cars will be unloaded and on the dock. And we too will be on our way to Paris, sweetheart of the world, 2,000 years old, yet as young as springtime. The familiar symbol of Paris is the Eiffel Tower. Built for the exhibition of 1889, its shaft of lacy steelwork still reaches to the sky. Equally famous is Napoleon's great Arch of Triumph, from which you can look down on the swirl of Paris traffic and the broad sweep of the most famous avenue in Europe, the Champs-Élysées, lined with famous shops, hotels, and countless sidewalk cafes and restaurants. In striking contrast is storied Montmartre, rendezvous of artists and writers, with its narrow streets and its old village square under the white domes of the Sacré-Cœur. All the street artists of Montmartre look at and paint the same scene, but what a difference in their interpretations. Along the banks of the Seine, you might enjoy browsing among the stalls stocked with books and prints. Beside the Seine are some of the world's best restaurants. Paris is filled with churches and cathedrals, and all of France is dotted with chateaux and palaces. The Palace of Versailles is now a fabulous museum of the empire days of Louis XIV. The gardens of Versailles have inspired landscape artists all over the world. On summer evenings, fireworks displays are set off over the gardens and the fountains. Your travel agent can arrange for Paris or London to be your gateway to all of Europe. For example, from Paris, you might visit the French Riviera and Italy, returning through Central Europe to finish your holiday in the British Isles. The French Riviera attracts pleasure seekers from every corner of the world. On the Grand Corniche Drive, we pass medieval castles. We visit such famous resorts as Nice and Cannes and sun-drenched Eden Rock, where a healthy tan seems to be almost all you need to wear to be in style. Independent Monaco, half as large as Central Park in New York City, owes much of its fame and revenue to the casino at Monte Carlo. If you don't gamble, you'll enjoy sightseeing, including the palace of Prince Rainier and Princess Grace, the former Hollywood star, Grace Kelly. In Italy, be sure to visit Florence. This mellowed old city is like a huge museum of art, filled with the works of the great masters. You can sip coffee or refreshments in the midst of ancient palaces and sculptural masterpieces. As you stroll around, you'll see world-famous examples of Italian art, such as the magnificent bronze doors by Ghiberti on the baptistry of St. John the Baptist. Florence is a shopper's paradise. There's everything from fine Italian gold filigree and famous men's hats to dolls that do everything but come to life. Not far from Florence is that famous tower. 600 years ago, it started falling down, but only got as far as this, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. To see all of Rome could take you a lifetime. You walk into the ruins of the Roman Forum on stones trod by the Caesars before the birth of Christ. Wherever you turn, there's something to see. The world-famed Fountain of Trevi, the remains of the tomb of Hadrian, the triumphal arch of Constantine the Great, and the mighty Colosseum. Here gladiators fought and Christian martyrs were sacrificed. But Christianity survived, symbolized by St. Peter's Basilica, largest of all Christian churches, which stands in the world's smallest nation, Vatican City. On the Bay of Naples, the volcano Vesuvius once erupted a fiery cascade that buried alive the people of Pompeii and Herculaneum. You'll see the excavated ruins on your way to the spectacular Amalfi Drive that winds its way to storybook towns perched high on cliffs above the sea. Amalfi, Positano, Sorrento. In restaurants by the roadside, you can sample the food and wine that Neapolitans love. In all the world, Venice is unique. Canals and bridges take the place of streets. Your gondolier will take you past famous churches, galleries, elegant homes, and such historic landmarks as the Bridge of Sighs. You'll step ashore to visit the Doge's Palace and the Church of St. Mark on the Piazza San Marco. Tiny Switzerland is a land of spectacular scenery, lakes, mountains, famous resorts, ancient castles, quaint cities like Bern, the capital, with all its tourist attractions. Everywhere are fine hotels and shopping bargains in Swiss-made goods. The beautiful city of Geneva is headquarters of the International Red Cross and the League of Nations, founded after the First World War. Almost anywhere in Switzerland, you can look up and see snow-clad Alps, all the famous peaks and glaciers. At the Rhone Glacier, you can walk into the most spectacular deep freeze in Europe. Driving down through the picturesque valleys of Austria, it's not far to Vienna. Occupied after World War II, but today, free and gay once more. The magnificence of old Vienna was born in the days of empire, days of lavish living, of sumptuous palaces, gardens, and parks. Here Beethoven, Haydn, Schubert, and countless others were inspired to work, and the world was set dancing by the waltzes of Strauss. Born to such tradition, who knows? Among these young people of Vienna, we may be photographing a great composer of tomorrow, or perhaps a future opera star. While here, you may visit the Opera House, or hear a great symphony orchestra. And for dining, Some of the world's best restaurants are here in Vienna. Traveling westward into Germany, we're in a different world. The color and personality of Bavaria. The ancient capital of Bavaria is Munich, another great center of music and art. Are you hungry or thirsty? Drop in at the Hofbrauhaus and sample the Bavarian dishes with a liter or two of hearty Munich beer. Not far from Munich is old Heidelberg, which reminds us of the student prince. Every traveler should take an excursion down the Rhine River. Along this busy waterway are ancient baronial castles and vineyards from which come the great Rhine wines. When castles are replaced by windmills, you know you're in Holland. Amsterdam is famed for diamond cutting, for its galleries of great Dutch painters, and for its canals, on which many people live in comfortable houseboats. The tulip is native to Africa and Asia as well as Europe, but Holland has become the leading tulip center of the world, producing millions of bulbs in endless varieties for gardens everywhere. When you see this well-known view, you know you're in London. The Houses of Parliament are the seat of the British government and the heart of the Commonwealth. The best-known clock in all the world is Big Ben. Here you'll visit Westminster Abbey, where for 9 centuries British kings and queens have been crowned, and within whose hallowed walls many have been buried. Near the busy Tower Bridge is the old Tower of London, where you'll see the crown jewels and meet the colorful warders known as beef eaters. When you see Admiral Lord Nelson standing atop this impressive column, you know you're in Trafalgar Square. On one side of the square is the National Gallery. Here are the majestic bronze lions by Landseer. Splashing fountains adorn the square, and there are plenty of places to sit and enjoy it. When the weather is fine, everyone in England seems to be out of doors. Here comes a bit of royal color. Of course, every visitor to London wants to see the traditional guard mounting ceremony at Buckingham Palace, residence of Her Majesty the Queen, or the changing of the horse guards at St. James Palace. These guards are surely among the most photographed subjects in the world, and no wonder, especially if you have color film in your camera. In Hyde Park, soapbox orators will tell you how to solve all the problems of today's upset world. But when you leave London and drive through peaceful English towns, you lose the tensions of today in memories of yesterday. Here at Stratford-upon-Avon is the birthplace of John Harvard, founder of Harvard University, the birthplace of William Shakespeare, greatest playwright of the English language, and the home of Anne Hathaway, the girl he married. In the Lake District, we can easily understand the inspiration that came to Wordsworth and Keats, Shelley and Coleridge. Here is the living poetry of nature. Farther north is Scotland, a hardy land with a charm of its own. The charm of Loch Lomond, lake of song and story. Of Edinburgh, where you'll visit historic castles and perhaps shop in famous Princess Street. You may visit another ancient city, Dublin, capital of the Irish Free State. If you do, You're in the Emerald Isle, and green indeed you'll find it. A land of ancient ruins, too. One that everybody's heard about is Blarney Castle. High on a parapet is the legendary Blarney Stone. To kiss the stone, you almost have to stand on your head. But once you've done it, eloquence will be yours forever. You'll have the gift of Blarney. And here in Ireland are the lakes of Killarney, dearer to Irish hearts than all the other waters of the earth. You'll love the lakes of Killarney too, if you drive your car along their beautiful shores. But you'll love them even more if you see them from the seat of an Irish jaunting car. In fact, they say you really haven't seen Ireland at all until you've seen it like this. When our visit to Europe comes to an end, our holiday isn't over. For we can board a Cunard liner for the United States or Canada at Liverpool, Cove, Southampton, Le Havre, or Cherbourg. From Cherbourg, and from this great ocean terminal at Southampton, there's a weekly sailing of the Queen Elizabeth, or the Queen Mary. When the modern telescoping gangways have been pulled away, the network of lines has been cast off from the pier, and the great ship pulls away from the terminal, ahead of us are 5 wonderful days at sea. Days of invigorating salt air and ocean breezes, of rest and relaxation, and enjoyment of cheerful services on every hand, of music and entertainment and fun, and luxurious dining at every meal. Another sparkling interlude at sea to add to all the rest of our holiday memories. As the Queen Elizabeth steams up New York Harbor, we're glad to be nearing home again. But memories of our Cunard holiday to Europe will never fade. And we'll never forget the great ship that's been our traveling home away from home. A happy vacation island at sea.